Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. There's going to be a lot of my opinion thrown in here, but I am personally on a little bit of a mission and I want to share with you all what that is. Not trying to encourage anybody to join me, but just want to share it. And what it is I'm looking to short private prisons, make money off of them, and then donate all of my profits to causes that I feel the private prisons and industrial prison complex has been harming, communities that have been harmed from this system. So I'll go into a little bit more in depth on the companies I'm looking at, why I'm looking at doing this. And really what it boils down to is for the last 10 years that I've been a trader, I don't find anything intrinsically rewarding about clicking buttons and profiting myself. It's nice. Yes, I'm very grateful for that opportunity. I'm very comfortable being able to do that, but it's not intrinsically rewarding in any way. I'm not helping the community. I'm not adding anything to society. So it's up to me as an individual to then do good things with my profits, whether it's donations or helping friends out in their small businesses, whatever it is, it's on me as an individual. I also don't have this insatiable drive for money that I see a lot of entrepreneurs have. You know, people that are going for their first 100 million, their second 100 million. I have no idea how you keep that drive up. I reach my goals, I exceed my goals, and I'm kind of left looking for more motivation because I don't have the drive to just every single day make as much as possible. And I'm looking for this to be a little bit of a revival and a newfound motivation to keep my trading passionate. That being said, I'm also very aware that by doing this, I am using my emotions, and it is an emotional subject for me, and that's keeping me extra careful. So I'm being very conservative. I'm watching these tickers now. I'm looking specifically at CXW and GEO, and I'm getting to know these tickers as I'm going to start trading them more actively. They're more thinly traded than the names I'm used to trading. I'll go into that a little bit more in depth. So obviously this has to do with our social climate that we're seeing right now, all the Black Lives Matters protests and all that's going on. Superficially, these protests, you can say, yes, they're happening because some bad cops hurt some African Americans. They're fed up. They've had enough. Okay, that's it superficially. But the roots go very, very deep. And this all started with me initially over a decade ago researching, why are we putting people in cages for a plant? That was question number one. Why is the government doing that? And that led to research going back to the 1930s, seeing how marijuana was made illegal, seeing how the legal system developed around that, and then going back and looking at the prison industrial complex from the 1970s to 2020 and seeing how it has all played out. And if you put in that research, number one, you're probably going to be infuriated with how it's all played out. And number two, you're probably going to feel a little helpless. And that has been my reaction. If you want a quick history lesson, go to Netflix and watch The 13th. It's a great documentary. It does a great job of summarizing everything and showing you how this has all played out. It is a very in-depth system that has been created to, number one, put people behind bars. Number two, utilize cheap labor. And you can look at statistics and see who is being most impacted by this system, and it's minorities. You have a slew of companies that are using prison labor in their production lines. And you have minimum mandatory sentences. You have the war on drugs. You have the CIA having proven to be bringing drugs over from other countries in CIA planes. It's just infuriating. So the way that I'm dealing with that is sticking it to the private prisons, which are publicly traded companies, and shorting them. Fortunately, this monthly chart on both of these names, pretty much you have, and I'm going to try and stay as non-political as possible, but it's a very clear statement. Democrats have a platform that is anti-private prisons, and Republicans and Trump, mostly Trump, is pro-private prisons. So here you have Obama pretty much putting in legislation that is going to take out private prisons. And here you have Trump winning the election and seeing a 200% bounce in these stocks. Since then, we have been in a 3-year monthly downtrend. So shorting these names is absolutely playing with the trend. We're looking for a monthly lower high. We have 12-period exponential moving average resistance to be watching. And I looked at these names on the daily time frame and I said, oh, well, these names are doing exactly what our laggard sectors are doing. They look exactly like the financial sector, the airliners, the cruise liners, and I'm very comfortable with those setups. I've been following them already, so I'm comfortable beginning to trade these names because they're correlating to those names and the financial sector. Why are we correlating to the financial sector? Because these names are REITs, real estate investment trusts. the majority of their cash goes back in dividends to investors, 90% or something like that. So you have this company that wants to expand and buy other companies, and to do so, they have to take out big loans by banks. Why are we seeing weakness after the Trump election and after Trump pulled back the Obama legislation against these private prisons? Because pressure was put on banks by protesters to stop funding these private prisons. And this also goes to the border issues where we have, families being put in cages at the border. That's these companies as well. So private industrial, prison complex, and border control, pretty much that's their diversification to a certain degree. So we've faded because names like JP Morgan, I believe they were first to do it, Bank of America, they're saying, all right, we hear you guys, and we don't want this bad press. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So we're going to stop funding them. That being said, they have contracts in place to keep funding these companies until 2024. And then you have companies in Japan saying, hey, we'll fill that void when US banks stop. We'll be here to give you guys money, because these companies are profitable. And again, I highly suggest watching this documentary to just summarize what would normally take a ton of research. They've done it for you, and they've condensed it down into a very easy to follow documentary. So, knowing all of that, I am choosing to short them. And I've already made one successful short, and I've already made my first donation today. So happy to share that, and I'm going to continue doing that. So I shorted GEO, building a position over the last couple of days, and I made a core initial position 2 days ago. Yesterday the bulls showed up, and so I did a bunch of flipping, just little scalps, shorting it. I'll never go long in these names, it's always short, and then ended up selling today and locking in this profit. Unfortunately, the government's going to take 40% of that profit, so I'm left with $2,000 in profit, which I donated today. And that donation was to the Equal Justice Initiative, and they have a lot of branches, whether it's education or fighting against the industrial prison complex. So that's who I have chosen this time around for a donation. If you have other suggestions, by all means, send them my way. And I'm looking to spread things out, and hopefully this becomes a profitable endeavor over long periods of time. And the other thing to be aware of is this absolutely is a play on the election. If Trump wins, it's going to be bullish for these stocks, and I will stop shorting them if the polls start to show that Trump is very likely to win. If Biden wins, knowing that the Democrats pretty much have adopted the platform that is anti-private prisons, I would expect a significant bearish reaction in this sector. And we have a bunch of sectors that we look at to react to the election, but this one is almost as clear-cut as it can get. If Trump re-wins, if he's reelected, it will be bullish these stocks, and if Biden wins, it will be bearish these stocks. So we have to be watching the polls as we get closer and closer, because those numbers are going to influence the pricing in of the election as we get closer and closer. But the bottom line is I'm looking for monthly lower highs to be set. I'm looking for a loss of the daily uptrend to be the first indication of a monthly lower high being set. It's still a very healthy daily high or low right now, which is why I exited my short position to lock in that profit. And once we lose the daily uptrend, that'll be the aggressive first indication that our monthly lower high is set. But once we lose the weekly uptrend, then we're really confident our monthly lower high has been set. Right now, we're in a scenario where CXW changed its weekly trend and has not seen a ton of follow through. I'm pretty much just waiting for the S&P 500 to show us weakness, because these names are not positioned well for that weakness. The monthly time frame, could this be a bear flag? Yes, you could. The bounce is starting to get a little bit too significant to be considered a bear flag, but I'm just using the lower highs and the exponential resistance as a guide. I chose GEO to short because GEO has not broken the high of the COVID bounce initially, and CXW has. So we have our low, high, double bottom, and anything under 1545 is another lower high, which is why I chose it to begin my position. So one thing to note is these names are thinly traded, and I can watch the market makers react to my orders. If I'm putting in a 5,000 share order on GEO, I've seen the market maker bots react to it. So what I mean by that is, let's just say, for example, the bid is 1380 and there's 2,000 shares on that bid. As soon as I place a limit short at 1380, they will instantly pull that bid and put my ask at 1380 with no shares filled as now the top ask. So just be aware that because it is thinly traded, the algos and the bots for these market makers are more reactive to lower volume. You know, I put in that same dollar volume in any other name that I trade, and it's a grain of sand and a blip on the radar. It has no impact. But on this name that only trades average dollar volume, we're talking maybe $25 million traded a day. It is much more impactful, much more influential than it is on those other names. So that is my goal from here. I'll continue to check in and let you guys know how it is going, but this is what I am using as a revived mission to feel like I am contributing in some small way. Again, I'm not going to take down these private prisons. It's going to be up to legislation, but I do not feel they should exist. So I'm going to do my best to profit on their weakness and do good things with those profits. I appreciate your attention. Let me know what you think.